Hey guys, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. First of all, start of the video, videos at the bottom here. I had quite a few come out this last week. One I would definitely recommend checking out is the Viking Squad video. It's an indie game that came out just this last week, or I got the code to play it this last week. It's a lane-based brawler, side-scrolling beat-em-up is another way I'd like to define it. And it's a great party game. If you've got a couple of friends to play a game with, it supports up to 3 players, local or online, and it's a lot of fun. So I've been following it for the past over a year, and now that it's finally out, I definitely want to make sure to shout that out with a video. As for this week in terms of videos, don't forget, it's going to be rough because we have Mondays with Mrhappy, and then I have Count Up Cast, I have Stay the Realm. I still need to post the Week 10's Count Up Cast, or Final Fantasy 10's Count Up Cast, and then I also need to post Final Fantasy 12's this week. And then I leave for FanFest on Wednesday afternoon. So Wednesday through Saturday, I'm going to try to pre-organize... Aloha. That's our cat, by the way. Our cat is now comfortable inside this room. I should go pick him up and bring him into the video. But... and I'm going to try to set some videos, like maybe the Final Fantasy 7 count-up videos that I haven't gotten to yet for this week. But expect a shortage of videos. I'll try to do vlogs from Fan Festival, but they won't be formal videos like you usually see from me. And one last thing, for those of you who are NA players who are from the US or Canada, Lenovo is doing a Final Fantasy 14 giveaway partnered with Square Enix. I'll put a link to that giveaway in the chat. It's only US and Canada, apologies, but they got to make sure that it's regions of the world that can actually use the rewards. So first place is a laptop from Lenovo. Second and third place has some Razer gear, and then the rest are all stream tickets to watch the Final Fantasy 14 FanFest live stream. And the other one is copies of the game, Realm Reborn, Heaven's Ward package copies. So just want to make sure to shout that up. Enter that if you have the opportunity. It's pretty easy. You just have to follow a bunch of people on Twitch and follow Final Fantasy 14 on Twitter. Go visit the fan page, things like that. If you're here live in the Twitch chat, you could do that as well. Same deal. ! Lenovo is the command that you will need to enter. But anyway, on that note, I think maybe we should grab Aloha and let Aloha say hello in the video real quick. This is Aloha, Dwayne the Cat Johnson. He's a fat cat, Norwegian forest cat, 16 years, and he wants out. He's kicking. He's like, let me the fuck go. I was comfortable over there. All right, I just wanted Aloha to say hello real quick. So now let's start with the questions. All right, first question. Hey, Happy. Sorry, no bonus, but here's hugs from my free company, Outlaw Star. My question is this. My friend is confused with the Fan Festival livestream bonus items, aka Titus Una costume. Me and him want to watch Vegas livestream, but we live in the UK. So will the could the costume code be redeemed for those outside the US? Yeah, you'll be okay to redeem any of the codes, even if you're not from North America. Like, I'll be able to get the Japanese and EU codes. You'll be able to get the Japanese and America codes. It's just that make sure you read the website or read when you purchase the code, because it's actually going to give you a date. I don't think you can actually redeem the codes until a certain day. It says on the website, I just don't have it fresh in my memory right now. So definitely be sure to just read everything. It'll give you all the information you need. But yeah, you're fine. It doesn't matter that you live in the UK. You'll be able to get it all the same. All right, next question. Yo, Haps, question roulette. I actually really look forward to the question roulettes. And you know what I've been doing? I've been not checking the other questions. I should probably do that. So we have after binge watching of Ethos's videos. That's actually a really tempting one. We have the fight, and we have through the wind. I feel like this is Zelfatol related. You know, I'm gonna go with the first one. All right. I got the idea that after almost every dungeon exploration, it gets progressively worse. I mean, the lore of the hard modes of Hawk, Wanderers, etc. Should we get a Janitor Job class to prevent that from happening, or maybe a question pointing at the fact? Did you just why do I... Questions are not good. I don't know why this week is attracting. The last 2 weeks have attracted like really like off-ball questions. I'm gonna go ahead and say that this question was also a waste of my time because no, just let them write their story. If you don't like it, give them feedback on it. No, we don't need a janitor job. And even if it was a janitor, I don't think that's how you do janitorial duties inside of a dungeon. I don't think that them leaving books around means we need a janitor. No. All right. Please. I want to answer. I want this to be a good question to make up for that last one. I'm the one who picked it. It's really my fault for picking the first one, right? It's definitely my fault. Sup, Habs? Have an A12 Savage weapon of choice. Machinist. And the mount. Well, the mount I only have to roll against 7 other people for. Yeah, okay, I'll take it. I'll take the first one. I was playing Sophia the other day, and there was another Machinist in the group. I always did think my DPS wasn't too bad, but I do about 1420, and the other one did about 1850. And I was like, what the fuck? How did he do that? Maybe it's because I play on PS4, but to me that doesn't make much sense. So 1420, I guess, I don't remember how many breaks there are in Sophia, but 1420 is definitely on the lower end for Sophia, I think. 1850 is like, that guy has a complete understanding of Machinist. I mean, that's clear. He's probably also using potions because they're probably like X potions. He probably makes them himself, so he's probably eating food. I mean, those are all factors that tie into it. But if anything, look at this, and I would say your DPS definitely could use improvement. Don't get me wrong, I'm no expert Machinist. I wouldn't do 1850 on Sophia. Trust me, it wouldn't happen. He probably also already had his I-255 weapon, which helps a lot. I don't know if you're using an I-235 and I-240, but the upgrade in weapon damage, dexterity, if he has pentamelt on crafted gear, if he's got any Alexander normal gear, like all of that's a factor. So please keep that in mind. There's no gear comparison here, so that definitely is hard to tell. But if I'm assuming you two are at equal gear, which I'm assuming, I doubt you were, then yeah, 1420, I mean, if anything, that should be a sign right there. If he's doing 1850, you're doing 1420, you shouldn't have to ask someone else if your DPS is decent. The first thought that should go through your head is, okay, clearly there's room for me to improve. You shouldn't have to ask somebody whether or not that means you need improvement, because just because your DPS is decent doesn't mean you can't always strive to be better. You know what I mean? Even when you're at the top, if you were one of the best machinists in the world, even that wouldn't be an excuse not to try and improve on yourself. So I'm glad that you're actually reflecting on this, and even though it's okay that you asked, but anytime that situation happens, and I would recommend this to anyone watching, if you have that information, always look at it and self-reflect on what you can improve. Do some research, try to maybe pay attention to the person who you noticed is playing that well, see what they're doing different, see what their timing is like on their cooldowns, especially for machinists, because that's the hardest part about the job. And just put it all together and see if you can improve your play. All right, next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, have a pumpkin pie since you know what season is coming. You know, pumpkin pie, I like a lot of pumpkin-flavored stuff, and we have, like, pumpkin spice Oreos and pumpkin spice kettle corn in the house. But I don't know. I guess I would probably like pumpkin pie. What should my expectations be of this patch update? I've been in Germany these past few weeks. Will it be easy, normal, hard? Should I wear a tinfoil hat? I'm about to try it tonight, but I'm sure you're farther ahead. So first of all, there's a lot of factors that determine what you like about a patch. First of all, I don't know which parts of the patches you usually look forward to. Are you somebody that loves diving into Savage Raids? Are you somebody who, spends a lot of time in Palace of the Dead? Are you somebody who likes things like, are you someone who likes things like squadrons? It's hard to judge it. I think 3.3 and 3.4 have been generally above board in terms of their quality. So I'd say you should you look forward to it. It's not nearly as hard as 3.0 or 3.2 patch. Sophia is arguably one of the easier primals, especially because of how recoverable she is. And this Alexander Savage, while it's not easy, it's definitely has a lower gear requirement. So it's all about arranging your players and how skillful everyone is at understanding mechanics. So I'd stick it right at the normal difficulty. For some people, it'll register as hard because it doesn't matter how much they reduce the difficulty of Savage. Some people are just not interested, can't get a static, or it is above what their individual skill level can actually handle. I'd say it's a normal patch in terms of difficulty, but it's a good patch, and there's a lot of things to do that I think you'll look forward to, especially Wondrous Tales. All right, next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, thanks for answering my question last week. For this week, I'll give you a bonus of non-caloric natural sweetener for your coffee. Ew. Sugar in coffee? I drink this shit black, all right? No sugar, no cream, no milk, no pumpkin shavings on the top, just black, hard coffee. Giggity. Anyway, question for this week. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV without sound because my wife is always in the room with me, so I mute 14 because I don't want her to be bothered. Very considerate of you. Am I missing anything by playing without sound? The music. But I guess you could always listen to the music with like a headset in or on your phone or something like that. I would recommend getting a headset, perhaps. SteelSeries. Just, they got this new product. It's called the Arctis 3 and 5. You could buy it at Best Buy. You could pre-order it on the website. You get a Siberia 350 if you don't have the patience to wait for that. You get 10% off because we're sponsored. Hashtag sellout. Get a headset and listen and at least enjoy the music. 2, now that the spoiler ban is lifted, my next question is spoilery, so I'm putting a spoiler tag on it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a few things we do with spoilers. 1, remove it from the screen. 2, when I do this, it means the spoiler is over. I'm going to do it to let you know I'm about to read the question, and then I'm going to do it at the end of the question. So, if you don't want to be spoiled by anything, then, well, turn your ears off right now. So, let's start the spoilers. Okay, what do we got here? What do you think of Red Mage or Rune Knight or whatever it was Alice did in the Warrior of Darkness fight being a third Arcanist job? I don't think they're going to make it legitimately a third Arcanist job. I think they maybe showed off Alice as unique. The thing is, just because it's hard to describe. Let's look at Mrhappy, for example. She uses 2 pistols, but we don't have a job in the game like hers. Raubon, he's arguably a gladiator, but he's shown abilities that no one else in the game has. No class or job really replicates. I don't think just because a main character represents a job means that we all are going to get it. It just happens to line up with the whole sword enhancement thing being something that is very Rune Knight or Red Mage reminiscent. But I think that it's not going to be a third Arcanist job. They already don't like the whole splitting of the stats thing. It didn't pan out as well as they had initially planned, and I don't see them ever doing an extension of a pre-existing class or job as it is. Finally, she never summons anything, so it's probably just a transition into a completely different job altogether. And it's probably going to, if anything, even if Red Mage does get revealed, I don't think we can use Alice as the judge of being a Red Mage. She doesn't use any abilities, and that's probably deliberate because they don't want people seeing what skills they have planned if it is Red Mage related or Rune Knight related. But I think that if I were to guess between the two, I'd guess Red Mage would be the job they would add, not Rune Knight, just because it's, along with Samurai, one of the most requested jobs in the game. Yoshi P said it's one of the jobs he would want implemented if they could figure out a way to balance it more than any other job. So I'm going to go with her being Red Mage, but I don't think it has anything to do with the Arcanist job, the Arcanist class. Oh, and I almost forgot this. All right, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. This is Final Asim, and welcome to my question in your chat. Yeah, you sent me an email with your question by accident, and I think you commented on the video and asked where to ask the question. So I'm glad that you got it onto the forums right here. My question is simple: which Alexander raid is the hardest, and which one is the easiest? Can you please sort out the difficulty from easiest to hardest? So I'm going to go by individual fights, not by tier. I think that it's a pretty tough call between the Manipulator and Brute Justice. Manipulator had a super high gear requirement, and doing Nisi the intended way is one of the most clusterfuck mechanics in the game. Doing that mechanic alone probably puts Manipulator at the top of the list as the hardest fight in Savage, and immediately behind him would be Brute Justice, because his DPS check, while not severe, having a death in the final phase of Brute Justice and not being able to deal enough damage during the J-Wave phase it may not be a hard enrage, but it might as well be. And then you have A3 Savage at its peak without any nerfs, easily one of the more challenging fights. It's a very basic fight. It's a lot of mechanics, but they're given to you at a pace that's reasonable to deal with as long as you're paying attention. But that being said, I definitely think that one. After that, I would probably take Alexander Prime, and then I would take Arc, A11 Savage, and then A12 Savage after that. After A12 Savage, kind of a toss-up. A6, then A7. Even after the nerfs, I still think A6 Savage is the harder fight between A6 and A7. Just because it's frustrating how many times people screw that one up versus A7 Savage. So then A6, A7 Savage, then I don't know, what are the remaining ones? 9, 10, 1, 2, and 5 are what's remaining. 9 is almost at the bottom of the list. It's almost easier than the Oppressor. So I'd probably go for the next one before that. Let's go with... Man, that's a tough one. Let's go with A10. Let's go with A10 Savage after that. Still going down from hardest to easiest. After A10, man. A5, A2, A1, A9. I think A9 Savage is the easiest Savage fight of all of them. It's the easiest Faust. It's the easiest fight. So I'm definitely sticking A9 Savage as the easiest Alexander fight that there is. But I definitely think that Manipulator sits at the top just because between his gear scaling and the Nisi mechanic. Yes, if you sack it, it's not really any harder than Brute Justice, but still, I'm giving it to I'm giving it to Manipu-chan. Alright, next question. Hello, Happy-san. I see you have pretty much shelved Ninja in favor of Monk or Machinist. Do you know what will end up being your main? First of all, there's no way of knowing your main before an expansion launches. I find that to be kind of a silly question. You don't know what jobs are coming out. You don't know the changes that are coming to jobs. You don't know which one's going to interest you the most. It's an impossible question to answer. And I didn't shelve Ninja. I would have shelved Ninja for Monk. That I would have done. Because Monk, I wanted my Monk to be my main back in 2.0. And then I rated as Ninja for a little while in 3.2. I did it in 2.4, 3.0 also. But then I finally had the opportunity. Oh, I'm not tied down to a raid group. I'm going to join a raid group, play Monk finally. It's going to be great. I joined the raid group like, awesome Monk. And then we got Tirith Peng and Ember Luna as our melee DPS. They're like, yeah, they both play Monk. So can you go Machinist? And I was like, I just want to play Monk. Why does everyone hate me? So I got stuck on Machinist. I'm not that good at the job. So I just play it. I don't know what my main will be in 4.0. Next question. Hi, Happy. I just hit 60 on my first healer job. Scholar. And I can't seem to find out how to get gear fast enough. I hit 60 at maybe I-140, and I have absolutely no healer gear. That's weird. You're I-140, but you have no healer gear? I guess you mean above I-140. What do people do? All the Alex Creator and Scripture gear is going towards my main and... Oh! I get it. This wasn't your first job at 60. This was your first healer job. Okay. Why don't you just get lore tomestones? That's it. I mean, lore, dungeon, like literally just go into the dungeons, grab any healer gear that you can, go get lore tomestones, grab any gear you can, go do the hunt, grab any gear that you can, go do Void Arc, grab any gear that you can in there. That's a really good one. Hell, you could even go to friggin' Weeping City. Go in the Weeping City. That's an even better one. As soon as you hit the minimum, go into there, get any gear. And you don't even have to be on your scholar to get it. Just greed roll it and hope for the best. I think that's probably your best bet when it comes to this one. And next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. First question through the forum, so have some fries along with these giant meatballs. Yes, fries up. Now question roulette time. Ooh, another question roulette. Please, for the love of God, let it be a better question than the last question roulette. I'm not even religious, please. Forward, back. Oh, these topic names. Let's go with back. Okay, looking back on the various Final Fantasies, I see what you did. Played through Count Up Cast and beyond. What are some of the summon incarnations you would consider the definitive version of the summon? Ooh, interesting question. For things like Final Fantasy IX to Alexander, and once such a definitive version is established, would you rather have future games refer and imitate it, or try something wildly different than with the summon, or just leave it aside and focus on other summons? I think, like, looking back, like, some of them are really easy. Even though Diablos isn't exclusively in 8, I consider 8 his definitive version. Bahamut's a tough one. I can't really consider any version of Bahamut definitive, because I like that they do slightly different things with Bahamut every time. You always know when it's him, is the crazy part. But it's just like it's all about seeing how they make him spectacular within that world. I don't know. Diablos is a nice, easy one to do. Siren from 8 is another easy one, even though, again, that's not Siren's only appearance, or not Siren's first appearance. Fenrir, I would consider his 11 version the definitive version. I would consider... I was going to say Anima. It's like, no shit, Anima's only in one game. Gilgamesh is not a summon, so I could say 5. Although they do use Typhon as a summon, and obviously his definitive version is 6. Final Fantasy 12 is all different types of summons because it's you know, it's in Ivalice. This is a tough one, man. I don't really like saying there's a definitive version, I guess, because I love when they take a summon and they reimagine it in the world. Leviathan's one of the few they've probably toyed with the least, and nothing is definitive in Final Fantasy 13. Let me just put that on record. Final Fantasy 13, none of them are the definitive edition. So, it's tough one. And 12, they're all fucking airships on top of that, even if I wanted to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like saying there's a definitive version, but there are some that I definitely affiliate with some games more than other games. Alright, next question. Hi, Mr. Happy. Astral Havoc Shimmer here. I see what you did there. That's my clever guy. This is my first question for your show, so I hope it gets answered. With the theory crafting people are doing about the inevitable trip to Alamigo, how do you think, with us being the Warrior of Light, will interact and attract other people into the game plot-wise? Meaning, how will our actions affect the storyline leading up to and beyond 4.0? Like, will our actions have positive or negative effects on the morale of the citizens of Resistance and the residents of Alamigo? So, I'm going to actually spoiler tag my answer here, not the question itself. So, I'm going to do the whole thumbs up thing. So, spoiler tag officially activated. When I thumbs up again, it's gone. So in terms of how we'll affect Alamigo, it's clear the Resistance doesn't like us. So at least the Griffin himself doesn't. It's probably, it's likely that other members of the Resistance actually do like us, but we don't know who or why or what yet. So I think that it'll probably cause some friction, our interference with Alamigo. And then you also have Nero. Since he's returning to the story, I'm hoping we have different dialogue options if we did the World of Darkness, by the way. But if in that case, he must have some appreciation for the Warrior of Light after what we went through and what we did and how he interacted with us through the Circus Tower and the World of Darkness. So I'm hoping to see some interesting character development there where he's kind of like half-half, where he really wants to show up Sid, but he also has some sort of camaraderie or appreciation for the Warrior of Light themselves. I think there's going to be a lot of friction in this upcoming patch. I don't think the Warrior of Light's going to be lauded as a hero a lot here until after all is said and done. Kind of like Ishgard, where some of Ishgard kind of appreciates us, but the majority of it's kind of like, who the hell are they doing here? But then anyone who knows about what happened at the Steps of Faith kind of appreciates us a little bit more. I think that's going to be a big factor. I think the Scions and the Warrior of Light are going to be enemies of even the good guys in this case. Are going to be enemies of the enemy, and we're going to be the enemies of our allies. So it's an interesting thing that's probably going to happen. An interesting dynamic that we'll likely see. All right, I think we got 2 questions left on the forums. Okay, next one. Hi, Mr. Haps. You seem to be of the opinion that Bard has the slightest edge over Machinist. At least that's what you said when I asked you on stream. Most of the Savage Clear videos I see with Machinist, though. I've sometimes seen Bard here and there, but yeah, mostly Machinist. Why do you think that's the case? It's not like they're running double monk like your group. So I think a lot of that is that while Bard technically overtook Machinist in terms of its personal DPS, a lot of people still value Machinist higher. A lot of people still see Machinist as the completion of the group. And a lot of people, to be honest, just straight up went Machinist main after they buffed Machinist. And honestly, it doesn't matter whether you're playing Bard or Machinist. Like, we double monk. Like, it just doesn't matter which one of the two you're going. And a lot of people picked up Machinist after the buffs that happened in, like, what was it, 3.2 the Machinist buffs were? So I think it's just a lot of, like, dude, it doesn't even matter. They said the DPS checks will be better. Bard should, on an individual level, pull ahead. And especially if your Black Mage is playing a big part or your Summoner is playing a big part of your DPS, Bard's still going to edge itself out. But you just can't deny that Machinist just... It is what it is. You know, the hypercharge, they can hypercharge, they can separately deal with the TP and MP issues if they have to. It doesn't interfere with their MP pool. It doesn't eat one. That's a big difference. You know, if you foes, you no longer can TP or MP Song for quite some time unless you're willing to pop an Ether. If you hypercharge, as soon as the hypercharge is done, if somebody needs TP, MP, you're good. You didn't waste any MP on that melee bonus. So there's definitely pros and cons to each of them. I just think it's still a result of the 3.2 buffs of Machinist, where almost every Bard I know picked up Machinist as their job of choice. And it's not so far behind that it makes a huge difference. Machinist is still always going to be Mr. Reliable, especially in fights like A12 Savage, where movement is incredibly required. And Machinist DPSing while moving, God tier at that. And we have the final question on the forums, which I already knew who was asking it, so I am deathly afraid of what it is going to ask. Sup, you beautiful bastard. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Welcome to my question, and let's jump into it. I got a problem in my static. I keep pulling aggro on my Black Mage after 4 to 5 minutes into the fight. I obviously start with Quelling and Smokescreen. I use my Quelling on cooldown, yet I keep getting aggro more often than not in the middle of my raid. My main tank, Dark Knight, refuses to do any aggro combos after the initial few in grit at the start. After that, he goes full non-grit and DPS combos only. He thinks his DPS is more important than the Black Mage's, and I can't get it into his head. So... okay, this is actually a common issue. This is something that became a result of 3.0's heavy emphasis on tank DPS and healer DPS, where a lot of people are they're misinterpreting the priority on tank DPS. Yes, tanks should, when they're available, try to put out extra DPS by either leaving grit, leaving their tank stance, going into a DPS stance, whatever. I agree with that. What is not correct is doing it at the cost of something wiping your raid into a certain amount every time. As soon as you see yourself having enmity issues, if the only option is to do an extra enmity combo or stay in your enmity stance during a certain point of the fight, that's your responsibility. That shows your skill as a player to understand when you are right and when you are wrong. And in this case, if it's 4 to 5 minutes into the fight, I can maybe understand if the main tank died and the off tank didn't pick it up fast enough. I could maybe get that. But in this case, that's really bad. If you're losing aggro 4 or 5 minutes into the fight as your main tank, and I don't know which fight you're talking about here, that's a clear mismanagement of aggro. And honestly, as a tank, your job is to look at that aggro list and be like, wow, the black mage is getting really close to my aggro. I'm not going to ask him to stop. Like, that's not going to happen. The other option here is for you to get smoke screens on cooldown, which is another thing you could ask the ninja for. That might make it okay, but it's on your tank to know when it's like the limit's hit. Look at your party list. See how much aggro you have on the boss. And if you see somebody creeping up, turn on your tank stance. Do an enmity combo. Do something that will make you more useful in this case. Also, you're getting smoke screen. I'm assuming the tank is getting Shade Walker. Maybe he needs Shade Walkers on cooldown as well. But it's not okay. It's not okay. But I would say that before you immediately ask him, if he's not dying to too much damage taken, I would say this. Ask your ninja if they're smoke screening you on cooldown. Ask your ninja if they're Shade Walkering the tank on cooldown. Because if he's surviving like this and it's not, and him playing like this will be a net gain as long as you don't pull aggro, then look for other solutions first and then try to fix it up. But honestly, you can't get into this mentality as a tank. It's all about being smart about when you DPS, not just saying I'm going to do this and there's nothing you can tell me that will change my mind. That being said, that's the last question on the forums. Before I continue on into the Twitch questions, I want to say something. I did get a video question this week. And a few things about submitting video questions, guys. One, if you have a video question, I do include an email link or an email that you can send the video question to in the description of the video. Two, try to keep the questions at about a minute. The video I got was about 3 to 3.5 minutes. Try to keep it concise, straight to the point. And I know it's me telling you this, so it's hard to be like, how the fuck can Mrhappy tell us to be concise? This guy's recording this fucking thing for an hour and he wants me to be concise. I get it, but for the sake of the video itself, keep the questions concise, about a minute, maybe a little over a minute. And three, make sure that the question you're asking is an appropriate one. The question I got, it wasn't inappropriate in the sense that, like, it was like too personal or it was asking something really graphic. It's more like what it asked is something that's not the way to ask. It was somebody asking if they could be a guest on State of the Realm, and it took them 3 minutes. Pretty much by the time they got to the question, it was 2 minutes into the video, and then the last minute was asking, emphasizing why they thought they should be a guest on State of the Realm. If I want you as a guest on State of the Realm, I will ask you. I mean, that's pretty much how it works when it comes to that. So that's just not an appropriate question. Asking if you can be a guest on State of the Realm. That's just not how it works. It's not a request to be on the podcast kind of podcast. We look for members of the community that stand out, that are doing things that are exceptional and that we feel would be good guests. So if you want to be on State of the Realm, that's the best way to earn it. Make yourself stand out. Do something that is important for the community and make sure it's something that everyone's interested in, because that is a great way to get on the show. And we've had a lot of great guests in the past because of that. That being said, I want to get into the Twitch chat questions, so let's get right to it. All right, so the first question from the Twitch chat. So with the drop of patch 3.4, we had the Raid Finder be a lot more active since its 3.3 initial release. What are your thoughts with the Raid Finder's current success with Sophia Extreme and A9 Savage with regards to the upcoming cross-server Party Finder in 3.5? So I'm glad to see the Raid Finder being successful. And guys, if you're concerned about farming Sophia Extreme in the Raid Finder, from what I understand, the farm parties in the Raid Finder have been incredibly successful with Sophia Extreme, even on the North American servers. A9 Savage has also been moderately successful, and I've had many people report anywhere from 10 to 30% wipes in A10 Savage using the Raid Finder. And this is on the Western servers. Now on the Japanese servers, the Raid Finder is still more successful, thus clear rates are definitely higher. And from what I understand, even using it for the practice mode is more successful in Japan. The A10 Savage clear rates are also higher, and there have been some A11 Savage Raid Finder clears on the Japanese servers. But it's way better than what it was before, where nobody had the chance to get raid experience. People are actively using it, so if you're somebody who can beat Sophia Extreme, you shouldn't be afraid to go into A9 Savage. That's still, and when I say that, I mean you stayed alive and didn't get carried through Sophia Extreme, just to be clear. So I think it's great. I think that it's exactly what the game needs in order to make people feel like, hey, I was able to beat A9 and 10 Savage in the Raid Finder. I should be able to apply for a static. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing that we need, and it's something that I hope the crossover Party Finder enhances in 3.5. This is how you build back up your raid community that Gordius and Midas destroyed, and I hope that it continues to be successful. All right, next question. Also about the raids. How do you believe the developers' experience with Alexander over the course of this expansion will affect the raids of the expansion in terms of difficulty, narrative, general design? So I think even though, in terms of general design, I'll tackle that first, I still don't think we're going to get one, like, big instance for the raid like we have for World of Darkness. I don't think we'll get that for 8-mans anytime soon. Second, I think that in terms of difficulty, this is the difficulty it'll sit at. Unless they get enough funds for 3 difficulties, which even then I don't even know if I really want. I think that this will be the difficulty they try to keep the raid tier at. I think they're getting a lot of positive feedback, and the little bit of negative feedback they're getting, shit's too easy, it's from the people you shouldn't have been listening to when you made Savage in the first place. So, I definitely think it's a big improvement. In terms of, and what was the last aspect of it, the narrative, I really think now that they have story mode for raids, they need to make the raid maybe not part of the main story, but directly tie it to the main story. Don't just throw a cutscene in at the end of the 4.0 and be like, well, by the way, this thing you just did for the main story, great. It has nothing to do with the raid. The raid is its own side story. No, make the raid part of the main story, because while Bahamut was technically its own side story, it followed the narrative of an entire failed game, and that is what made it massively successful. You had all of this backstory, you had all of this reason and need to be in there. And Alexander, I don't feel that need. It feels like something I could have just never done and it would have been fine. So I think it needs to be, the narrative needs to be more directly tied to the main story if they want the next raid to be received better than Alexander. Alright, next question. Happy, hope this isn't too personal, just curious. What time do you have to wake up to prepare for your 7 a.m. streams, and how do you have the motivation to wake up that early every single day? So the motivation for that has changed quite a bit. Initially is because I wanted to get an earlier program in, because I wanted extra raid time. I'm sorry, I wanted extra stream time because I was doing count up and I thought I needed the extra time. What it eventually evolved into is it ended up being a great time because it's early in the morning. People on the West Coast can watch me right as they wake up. People on the East Coast can watch me on their way to work or once they're already at work. And people in Europe are either watching me from work or they're on their way home at some point. So it hits pretty much every demographic. And I also catch some of the graveyard shifters that are, you know, just getting off of work at that time. So it ended up working out so great that I just decided to keep doing it. Waking up at 6 a.m., once my body got used to it, it wasn't that hard. So, I mean, I don't really need to say I have motivation. My motivation is I want to go put on a good stream. And on top of that, now that we have a cat, Aloha Dwayne the Cat Johnson, who's sleeping in the corner, the cat wakes me up at 6 a.m. The cat actually wakes me up. It's not like the cat does something and it just happens to wake me up. No, the cat goes, I'm hungry, you wake up at 6 a.m. and it's like, it's 5 minutes to 6, I'll wake him up now. I'll jump on him, I'll go like, meow, I'll start clawing at the carpet so he gets angry and wakes up and wants to let me out of the room. So, that is ultimately how I wake up at 6 a.m. I have to put on a stream, I want to put on a stream, and my cat pisses me off at 6 a.m. That's how it all happens. Alright, next question. What are you looking forward to most at FanFest? Anything different from the last one? So I want the merchandise line to have a much shorter line, although I think Mel is going to go immediately to the merchandise line while I go to do whatever, like, the unique challenge is to that FanFest. And that's going to be the biggest change. First of all, it's in a different venue. Second of all, it has a different unique challenge. We don't know what the unique challenge is for FanFest yet. Last time it was Odin. I don't think they've announced at all. Maybe like Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday they'll announce. Maybe even tomorrow or today in the case of Mondays with Mr. Happy Monday. They'll announce it. But that's the big thing I'm looking forward to. There's also going to be a lot more PvP this time. In fact, there's going to... Well, last time there was Frontlines. This time there's going to be Feast. And they have the PvP exhibition on Saturday. This time we've also arranged an official meet and greet. I'm going to make a separate video about this and release it probably on Monday as well. But myself, Sly, Ethis, Mary, and Miz are going to be having an official meet and greet in the Paris Hotel at 2 p.m. on Saturday from 2 to 3:30. We don't know where in the hotel just yet, but I mean, it's not that big of a venue, so if we just gather up in a corner, we should just be okay to have our meet and greet there. There's not like an official like Square Enix sanctioned meet and greet section there. But we did plan that Saturday 2 p.m. So if you're there, look for the huge group of people and look for us 5. Honestly, the whole convention, guys, feel free to come up. I was going to speak for myself here, not for everyone, but I think you should probably be okay doing this with others. feel free to come up to me, take a picture, talk to me, say whatever. Like, just approach me like I'm another person there and you just know who I am. Don't be like, oh my god, it's Mrhappy. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to go talk to him. I'm going to bother him. No. I just, okay. All right. I'm going to do it. No, I can't. I can't do it. Don't do that. Just walk up to me and treat me like a normal person. All right. And also, if you're going to take a picture and you're going to put your arm around me, it's a gaming convention. We're all sweaty. Just keep in mind your hygiene, please, because I left the last fan festival. I went back to my hotel both nights, and I was like, it smells. I smell, man. It's on my clothes. It was bad. I stunk too, though, so I wasn't any better. I need to be better about this year as well. So that's my answer to the question. All right, and the last question I'm going to take for this episode of Mondays with Mrhappy. Mrhappy, how do you plan on protecting yourself from convention illnesses this coming FanFest? Well, I've been to a lot of conventions, so I've learned quite a few things. For one, direct contact with people is something you should try to avoid. It's not entirely avoidable because you're gonna bump shoulders and shit. But here's the thing, that doesn't work for me. Because people want to shake my hand, people want to hug me, people want to take a picture with the arm over the shoulder. So it really comes down to making sure you shower twice a day. Shower in the morning, shower after you get back. Get anything and make it a hot fucking shower too, like the hottest shower you can handle. Wash yourself, be in there for like 15 minutes at least. On top of that, make sure that in the morning you're taking as many like things that you can take. Make sure you're getting some vitamin C, make sure you're taking some vitamins. And honestly, if you have the option, go out and stand in the sun for a little bit. The extra like sunlight does wonders for your energy and for how you feel over the course of a convention weekend. So I'd say those are all pretty big things. Don't just go pack your clothes, pack an extra bag for shit to bring back and then be done. Make sure you are as hygienic as humanly possible. And more importantly, if you go out to eat at night, get something that like don't get like fucking pizza. Get something that has actual nutrients in it. Get some nutrient dense foods. Even if you want to just treat yourself to a steak with some vegetables that aren't covered in salt or something like that. Maybe some potatoes on the side, you know, like that's a balanced dinner right there. It's going to be expensive as hell in Vegas, but don't just go to the buffet and eat I almost said cocoon. Go eat coconut shrimp the whole time. Like, eat real friggin' foods, all right? Those are probably the biggest ways that I could say to try and avoid getting sick at conventions. Anyway, guys, that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mrhappy. Thank you again for all your questions and videos at the bottom right here. Aloha, you want to say goodbye? No? He wants nothing to do with you guys. He is in the corner, and that is he is not moving for you guys. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up on the YouTube side of things. Twitch, we're going to hang out for a few more minutes before I finish up the stream. So thank you for watching, everybody. I'll see you at Fan Festival. Be sure to come to our meet and greet on Saturday. And even if you're not at the meet and greet, feel free to stop me, say hello, any of that good stuff. I will see you guys there. And until then, take care.